All right, CRY MACHO. Clint Eastwood is kind of back. Listen, I know two people that saw it. One person kind of agreed with me and said it was slow and kind of boring. Another person actually liked it and enjoyed the fact that it was kind of slow. So here's the thing about CRY MACHO. It's a very uneventful drama and a sort of a character piece for Eastwood to basically have an excuse to be on horses and wear a nice hat. Make us all feel nostalgic about how much we love Clint Eastwood and other westerns. But CRY MACHO doesn't offer a ton of stuff to make us appreciate it as much as I think Eastwood would have liked us to. So it opens a little slow. Some really bad Lifetime movie dialogue about his past and um, Dwight Yoakam's character being there for him and they owe him. And then you fast forward a year and this character is asking him to drive down to Mexico and get his son. And Clint's character even he basically he's an old busted down rodeo performer, and he's great with animals and all that. But he lost his family and become an alcoholic and those kinds of things. So as we fast forward through the story, Clint's character even comments about, like, isn't that like child kidnapping? Like, how am I going to, no, I'm going to meet you at the border, but you got to go get him away from his mother. And his mother in Mexico is basically like a cartel runner of some kind. Like we don't really even understand exactly what she does, but she knows where the kid is because he's doing it at cockfights and goes finds the kid. And of course, the kid's rooster is called Macho. And he convinces the kid to go with him to go see his dad. And there's all this contrived dialogue to move that story along. And the mom sends some people after them, try to scare him. Clint looks like he's 100 years old, barely can move in the opening sequences, but then later he punches some guy in the face and lays him out. I don't know. Jumps on a horse and is busting down a horse. But there is a nice sequence where they're in this little Spanish village and he's meeting a Spanish lady who's way too young for him. And he's starting to see the value of family again, that he can move on. He really falls for the kid. The kid really grows on him. And I think the kid really likes having a father figure and the idea of what he missed out on and could get with a male figure around. So there's a sweetness to some of that. I was reminded of a Liam Neeson film called Marksman, which is kind of the same principle of, I have to get this kid home, but I'm being chased. That film at least had like tension and was more of a suspense thing. This one doesn't have any of that and has this really weird rushed ending, which I'll get to. I thought I would try. We'll see how it goes. I've had some streaming problems tonight, so we'll see if I can get the trailer. We'll play through the trailer a little bit. That way you can kind of see what I'm seeing. So this is the shot of Clint, busting a Bronco. And that's that in that opening sequence I was telling you about. And this is the last clip you see before they fast forward a year. And it's like, oh, it was a long time ago. And there he is in his hat and his eyes, all that class Eastwood. The intrigue is there. And you see all of this, right? You see this old version of him and Dwight Yoakam basically convincing him of things. Howard, that's his name. I think that
no reason to be rude.
There was like, he tries to be like the feisty old guy, and it kind of works for a minute. All of that, by the way, is just that opening sequence. Now this is later when they get to that little Spanish village, and they can't leave right away. They got to find a way to make some money. Again, they have all these weird moments of things happening. There's no real linear thought to anything. They just know they have these scenes they have to get to. I think they wrote these different scenes and then just came up with reasons to try to thread them all together, because as a whole, the story is so disconnected and bouncing around. But he's super good with animals. These are wild horses. He walks right up and starts to get his way with them as this all starts to materialize. Now, this is the breakup of the cockfight. And then, of course, there's these shots, these incredible scenic shots as they're moving through the country. Just shots. The trailer basically just showed some of the different stuff. Now, here's the young man that Clint Eastwood's character is sent to retrieve. His name is Rafo. I assume it's short for Raphael, but he has this little rooster named Macho. And the story is actually kind of sad in the sense of his motivation to go see his dad is just to see his dad. Like his dad is viewed as he's an American, he's wealthy, he's made it, he's somewhat of power, he's somewhat of influence, and he wants a part of that, wants to be a part of his dad's world to give him value because he feels like he's just a pawn and a cast off in this world between this estranged relationship. And he's a teenager without any guidance, and he immediately tries to work through this with him.
Get in the back.
So,
Look, the only place you're going to go is the hospital.
See, this is
It's not good for you.
Oh yeah, that was the blackmail sequence where the kid had a dark side too, where it's like, oh no, if you don't tell me this, I'll tell them you did something to me, and that you basically raped me. And that was probably the best line of the whole thing. So yeah, go ahead. Whenever they check you out, they'll find out nothing's there. What are you gonna say then? You just have gone through a probe for no reason at all. And then he says, oh no, I'll say you hit me with the car and you drove on. So he's he's a real big jerk in some ways to get his way. But there's some interesting shots. Clint's
Macho.
I don't know if Clint had this as a pet project or if they told Clint he had to do this to get something else done. This is just random images of them traveling, talking. There's the cockfight scene. Going to flashback to that a little bit. There's not a lot of meat to some of this. So this is the ridiculousness of this. He plays this feeble old man through most of the film early on. And then you get this scene where the mom's henchmen grab the kid. So Clint comes out of the place and walks up to him and punches him. That's it. And then, of course, the scene actually does have a funny little twist there. So that was all right because the kid's really kind of smart on his feet and wins him over with his wit a little bit. And then the trailer just shows what we talked about, their relationship, busting Broncos. Clint suddenly behaves like a 40-year-old, and here's the lady that he kind of falls for and falls for him, who looks way too young for 80-something-year-old Clint. It's a little weird. This is the little cute little girl that he starts falling for. And then, of course, I want to show that scene because that's a very important scene right here. I talked about the ridiculous ending. Okay, so we go through all of this, and the police, the federales, catch up with them, pull the car over, and search and destroy the car with knives, cutting it up, thinking that they're basically drug runners, and they're not. And he's just like a jerk to them. He's cussing, carrying on about, don't you have better things to do? You're so incompetent, whatever. But then they just go on. There's Howard on the other side of the border. The kid just gets out of the car and walks to them. And that's the end of the film for the kid. We don't know anything else. Makes no sense. I don't know. The entire film is set up that the kid will go back with Clint's character to the village, to the woman and the little girl. Clint's character does go back to the lady that you see them dancing. But the kids, we went through all this, and the kid just goes to the dad. We have no exposition. We have no idea. The kid's basically going to be a pawn between the mother and it's just this kid's life is still crap. The kid's going to look back on this as the best days of his life, but I don't know what like I said, did Clint do this as the pet project, or is this the one he has to do to get to his pet project? Because there's just nothing here that I can pump you up about. I don't have anything to work with, to be honest. So this was they crash. Here's the cute little girl that makes him feel all heartfelt as they're starting to bond, and eyes are they're all there. So that was the final scene of the movie, them dancing. So they cut a lot out of order, so you don't get it. So this was more of the shenanigans. There's Macho. I liked Macho. It's just kind of funny.
Like me, very strong rooster.
Whatever.
What's wrong with that?
Nothing.
Anyway, so that's the general gist of the film. Look, I have to rank the film. I'm going to say it's about a 2-star film. It's 4 out of 10. That kind of thing. Like if it's on, it's on. You can watch it. It's free on HBO Max. I feel bad if you pay to go see this in a theater. It is a flat, dry drama with a disconnected story that has a nice, sweet sort of middle pieces to mostly the second act, the end of second act, beginning of the third act. but there's so little real stress or climax that there's really no payoff because the kid just leaves. Like it just, there you go. So not a recommend. But like I said, I talked to somebody who actually did enjoy it. And maybe it's because it was just a slower pace. It's a different type of filmmaking. It's a different type of, some of the scenery, but there are so many better Westerns and these type. And I got to be honest, The Marksman is a better film. And it's basically the same thing with just a couple little twists and turns. Watch The Marksman instead, be honest. And I wouldn't even give it a better rating, really. It's probably about the same rating, but it's actually a more entertaining film, even though there are other issues with it. So anyway, that's my take on it. Again, you may be in that camp too. You like the film. That's totally fine. Tell me what you think. Tell me where